Hello, my good friends. This is your friend, Johnny Watkins Sr., and I am excited to be before you today because I want to talk about this subject that a few people have reached out to me to share their opinions and get my opinion on something that happened the other day with this couple in Maryland that had their house devalued based off of the color of their skin. And so I think this is a pretty good topic to bring before you because I did some research on it and I want to share some of that information with you on what is the advantages and disadvantages for us as a black race of people to own in a home. That's the American dream, and just share my opinion on what I think about owning homes and owning and renting, and then open it up for you to give me some feedback, and hopefully you go into the comment box and give me some feedback and maybe share some information so that I can learn some things, and overall all of us can learn something. So this is what this topic is going to be about today. It's just does owning a home is it advantageous to us as black and brown people, more so us as black people, and that's where I'm going to lean towards. So does owning a home actually help or hurt us in the long run, and what's the advantages and the disadvantages? All right, and so I'm going to be before you for a few minutes, and then hopefully you will come back and you will comment and let me know what you think about that, and so we can grow and we can learn together. So for those of you that don't know, about early up this week, it was on CNN. I'm pretty sure it was on the other news outlets, but this professional couple, married couple in Maryland, black couple, they wanted to refinance their home, and they lived in a prominent. Just based off what the information was shared, they live in a prominent predominantly white neighborhood. And that it's an upscale neighborhood, and so the value of the homes are very good. And so what they wanted to do is do a refinance, and so they had to go out and hire somebody to appraise their home, reappraise their home. And so when the value came in, the appraisal came in, the value was much lower than what they thought it should be. And so the company that they was the financial institution that they was trying to get the loan through, they shared their appraisal amount, and then they told them they thought the value was a little bit low, and they were not a little bit low, but they thought it was much lower, and they thought it was based off because of their race. Well, the financial institution, not only did they not accept their what they thought was unfair, or their reasoning why they thought that the appraiser came in low, they denied them the actual amount. So not only did they get a low value on their home, they were even denied the actual refinance loan. And so what they in turn did, they went and they got a white friend, and what they call, which is embarrassing to say, but this is just the way it is. It's the day and time that we live in, and it's been like this since I've been alive. They called it whitewashing their home. So they took everything down that showed that there was anybody living in there was the color of their skin, black people living in their house. They took down all their pictures and they whitewashed their home, and they had their white friend then called up another company and had it appraised. The value that came in from that appraisal was $275,000 more than the initial. Now you can't just say, well, okay, it's a different company. That's huge. That's too much of an amount. $275,000 more because a white person was showing the home and they whitewashed their home. It wasn't like it was in a black and brown neighborhood. It's in a predominantly white neighborhood, upscale neighborhood, and just because of the color of their skin. So they're suing. They're not only suing the company that did the initial appraisal, but they're suing the financial institution also because they believe they was wrong by both of them, and I agree with that. And so I had these discussions here about this and saying, okay, does it really work for us? The American dream is to go out and purchase you a home, and settle yourself down, get you a good job and purchase you a home and settle down. And now you have your piece of land and your property here in the United States, and it's going to work out for you in the long run. And here's an example that's not always the case. All right, now this is not just one time, because this, I think it was last year, a year before last, and I didn't look that one up. I remember reading about it. A couple in California did the same, and when they valued their house, I think like same about $200,000-$300,000 less, and they had somebody else to come and value it, and the house was valued over over $1 million, and they had a white person to they whitewashed their home and had a white person to present the home as if it was there. So this is happening more than just one incident. But what I want to get into, besides that, is saying there's things out there that is just dialed up against us, no matter, even when we're trying to do the right thing, is does this really work for us in the long run? Does owning a home versus renting a home or apartment is best for us as Black and brown people? Now, I'm not anti any one of them. I own my own home, right? And I have a home, now, and that I own, and I also rent. And so I'm not anti either, but I want to talk about, some of the advantages and the disadvantages to give it to you, and then, you make your own determination what you think is best. I have my opinion, and I just told you the disadvantages that we even when we trying to do the right thing, it still comes back to bite us in the end. So I would say this. I want to give you some stats here that I looked up, and so we can argue that, and you can go into the comments and we can talk about those different things. But I just want to share with you, how trying to own a home, what does that look like for us in the end? First of all, I want to talk about foreclosures, and there's some stats that I looked up, and I want to share this with you. 17% of Latino homeowners and 11% of African American homeowners have lost their homes to foreclosures. 17% Latinos and 11% of African Americans have lost their homes to foreclosures, compared to 7% of white owners. Now, many different things happen to that. People lose their jobs. Some type of medical, life-changing event has happened where they can't work or whatsoever. There's a lot of reasons that people divorce is huge. That causes people, because a lot of Black and brown people are relying on two incomes to be able to take care the expenses of having a home, and then you tap in all the other things, car note, utilities, and all the other kind of stuff. So, but I just want to share that with you because, there's, owning a home is very expensive. And people will tell you, it's, a lot of people will share, well, it's better to own a home than actually rent, because, people will tell you, well, I don't want to pay somebody else's mortgage. So when you're renting from a home owner. Somebody owns that property. You're renting from them, right? But they're saying you're paying their mortgage, which could be true. But are you actually, when you paying for when you buying a mortgage, or when you paying for a mortgage, do you actually own a home? Now, I know, the word is that when you get approved for your loan and you sign on the dotted line, they give you the keys. They say you're now a homeowner. Are you truly a homeowner? Because I know the bank is going to reword it and say, well, you own the home, but we have an interest in it because you have a lien to us on this home. Isn't it true that the bank actually owns a home? Because we don't do that with vehicles, right? When you go and purchase a vehicle, right? You purchase that vehicle, you either going to get that lien from a loan from the actual car dealer itself, or you're going to get it from your bank. A lot of us don't go out and just pay cash money. All right. So you're going to have a lien on that vehicle. No one says you own that vehicle. You don't even say you own that vehicle, right? You say I have a car note. And the only time that you say that you own that car is when you pay off that car and you get the title. But we don't do that with housing, right? When we get a house, we get the keys, you're now a homeowner. But actually you're renting from the bank. So isn't everybody renting? That's the way I look at it. Because if you don't pay that mortgage, they're going to come knocking at your door, that bank. And either you're going to get it straight, or they're going to have the sheriff department come out there and get your stuff out of that house. Going to give you enough, some time to get your stuff out of the house, and they're going to put padlocks on the house. Right? So you're not really a homeowner until you have that deed in your hand with your name on it. Okay? But there are advantages. There are advantages to owning a home, but there surely are disadvantages. And I want to go over to some of those things. Some of the advantages of owning a home is a good long-term investment. Bottom line. You're putting your money into something. You're putting your money into this property. And as long as the value of the house stays well and it keeps rising, then it's an investment because you're going to get something in return. Hopefully. If you don't have somebody come out there and appraise and devalue your home, like this couple in Maryland. Hopefully. All right, it's low interest rate loans. You're going to get them between 2 to 5%. And that sounds very good. A lot of people say 2 to 5%. That's nice, man. That's a great interest rate because you're not going to get none of that on no credit card. Usually you're not going to get that on vehicles, but sometimes every now and then they come with that. But on a house, when you're talking about $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 homes, you're like, man, that's pretty good. And it is good. But what they don't talk about is how much you got to put down, right? And we'll get to that later. But low interest loans, you build equity in your home as long as it's not devalued. You're taking care of that home. The neighbors are taking care of their home. Usually the value of your property is going to go up. You get tax benefits for that. When you do your taxes at the end of the year, at the beginning of the year, you're going to get a deductible interest rate deductible in that. Privacy, right? You got your own home, so you can do what you want for the most part. We'll get into that. But you got greater privacy, and then you're gonna have a fixed mortgage rate. Now, we're not gonna talk about these little funky little mortgages that they had, a couple of years ago that caused the housing market to crash. But you're usually going to get a fixed mortgage rate. If your mortgage is $800, $900 a month, it's going to be $800, $900 a month for the duration of that contract, a mortgage agreement, unless you do some type of refinance and lower it, something like that. All right, and then there's stability, right? You usually people that get a home, they're going to stay in there for a while, all right, because they have invested into this property. They want to get the value of the equity out of it. So usually, you're going to have some stability in there. So those are the advantages of having a home. Here's the disadvantages of having a home, right? You're going to have to put money down. So I talk about that interest rate of, saying, okay, you got a low interest rate, but usually the bank is going to ask for some earnest pay, some money that you got to put down, right? You're going to have to put down a deposit between 2 and 5%. So let's go with a house that costs $350,000. If that interest rate is 2%, which is pretty low, you're going to have to put down $7,000 of your own money for a down payment to secure that loan and move into that home, right? If it's 5%, that's $17,000. That could easily wipe out your savings account. Or what happens is people don't have that and they have to go borrow that money or get a loan to get just that, or they have to wipe out their entire, credit card to be able to pay just that cost. Now look how much debt they just put themselves in. Now you got a $350,000 debt, which you got a mortgage with, and you got another loan that you got to pay this $7,000 or $17,000. And if it's a little bit greater, if the house is $400,000, $500,000, now you're talking about $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 that you got to put down just to move in. So those are the disadvantages. A lot of people don't know that just because you get approved for this loan doesn't mean that you're not going to have to put down a down payment. Those banks are looking for a down payment, right? Just to make sure that they got something from you before you move into that home. All right, less mobility, which that means is that, again, you say stability. That means you move in now. You got to let's just say you got a job offer to move you to another state or whatsoever. You just can't up and move now because you done put so much investment into this home that you more than likely your mobility is going to be kind of handcuffed. Maintenance costs is huge. Getting the air conditioner fixed, getting garage door fixed, all these things add up. Believe me, I know. Unless you go out there and get you some type of plan, some maintenance plan, which they sell, which is pretty reasonable, but still, you're going to pay a monthly fee for that, and you're going to pay a deductible on that. All right, but it will save you a lot of money. But maintenance, if you don't have it, maintenance can be very expensive. And they come too. They come when you least expect it. And that's the way they always happen, right? No one is expecting something to happen. It's always, when you don't. Equity doesn't grow immediately. That's just, common sense. It's going to take some time. Your equity is not going to be on a month to month. It's going to be annual. And it's going to take maybe 3, 4, 5 years before you really see a substantial amount of growth in equity for your property. And property value can fall. It can fall. It just depends on if you're not taking care of your property, right? Or your neighbors are not taking care of the property. So a lot of things can happen there that can cause your property to devalue. That doesn't happen a lot, but it can happen. So those are the advantages and disadvantages of owning a home, right? But here's the advantages and disadvantages of renting. You can rent a house or you can rent an apartment and you can rent you a townhome, right? So now you don't have to worry about it's lower housing costs, which means you don't have to go out and get a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 loan, right? It's low housing costs. You're going to go out and you're going to pay for whatever the rent is going to be, whether that's going to be $800,000, $900,000, $1,500, $2,000, $3,000, whatever it's going to be. You're not going to have to worry about putting down 2% or 5%. You just put down whatever the safety deposit is, and that usually is going to be the first month rent, right? All right, and another advantage is shorter term commitment, meaning every year your lease comes up, unless you do a 2-year lease, but usually it's about a 1-year lease. So now you have more flexibility. If a job calls and say, hey, you can move, can you move here to another state? And they're going to pay you more money. You can up and move because you're not invested into this rental property. Another advantage is no maintenance. No maintenance and repair costs. That's on the owner, right? So now you don't have to worry about, getting out there cutting the grass. You don't have to worry about watering the lawn. You don't have to worry about if the AC air conditioning goes down or the garbage disposal doesn't work, that they're going to charge you. When I had a garbage disposal come out to my house at that time, he told me before he even got out there, it's going to cost $90 just for him to show up. And then for him to actually click a button to get it turned back on cost me another night, $180 for the guy to drive out there and do 5 minutes of work, right? So you don't have to worry about that when you're renting. Now, here's some of the disadvantages, though. There's no tax incentive. So you're not going to file on your taxes, and get some deductible for renting a home, right? You're not going to have no fixed housing costs, meaning that at the end of the year, when that lease is up, the owner, he or she can raise that rent as they see fit. All right, so you're not going to have no fixed rate. Just because you came in paying $1,500 doesn't mean the next year it's going to be $1,500. Usually they're going to go up. They're going to try to go up $100 or a couple $100 on you. All right, and then there's no equity that you're going to get in renting. So whatever money you put down in your security deposit is usually what you get back if you have taken care of the property. So there's advantages and disadvantages to renting also. And I see value in both of those. But, we have to be, mindful of when we going out there and we trying to live that American dream, because everything is just not fair. You can be living in a house and you can be paying 5%, on a loan, or let's just say your home costs you $400,000. Your next door neighbor house may have cost them, $300,000. Or their interest rate is much lower than yours, and and you may have a better credit score, or you may be, your income could be much greater than theirs. It's just, and it's, just based off the color of your skin. So, we have to be, mindful of, just like this couple here. Here they are doing the right thing. They went out and they educated people and they professionals, got great jobs and living in supposedly a nice neighborhood, and they're getting taken advantage of because of the color of their skin. All right. Credit scores, that's a whole nother topic, but the lower your interest rate depends on your credit score. But think about this, they give you a low interest rate for you to just go more in debt. All right, and I understand. I'm not here to knock it, but I'm not here to brag about this credit score, because people that doesn't have a great credit score, they charge them higher interest rate, knowing that the possibility of them failing is going to be great, because there's a high interest rate, meaning their bill is going to be higher. Whether that's going to be a mortgage, whether that's going to be rent, or whether that's going to be on a credit card, it just doesn't really make sense. So I just want to say, be very careful for those of you that, look at, renting and saying frown upon renting, vice having a mortgage, because to me, in my opinion, they both are the same. Until you have a deed in your hand, then you're renting. If you don't own that home, and if you think you own that home, don't pay the mortgage, and see that bank don't come calling on you and talking to you or sending the sheriff department out to your home. And buying a home, we just got to be very careful when we want to buy a home, because buying a home is very expensive. I looked up the average. The average cost per square foot to build a home is $150. You can get $100, but it can be $150 up to $300 a square foot, just depending on your area that you live in, which is a whole nother, discussion. But let's say, a nice spacious home, about 3,000 square foot. At $150 square, at $150 a square foot, it's going to cost between $300,000 to $600,000. $300,000 to $600,000. What may cost, $400,000 in upper Northern Virginia, where I used to live, that, a $450,000, $500,000 home up there, you can get that same home and more down in Atlanta, Georgia, for half that price, for $250,000, or $300,000. Same house, just different area. And then they get into the taxes and all this kind of stuff. You just got to and then that's what it costs to build a home. Now the bank is going to tack on, or whomever purchased that home is going to tack on another $100,000 to $200,000, right? And so I looked up and said, and it says there's value to the customer if you go out and buy land first, and then you go out and negotiate with contractors to build on your land, and you can get a better price for your house and better value for your house. Vice going and getting something that's ready made, right? They're gonna tack on the cost for that land and the house itself. So if you can afford it, go out, consider going out, buying you some land, and then talking to different contractors. I would tell you this, and then I will end this. I met a guy when I was in the military, and I came back from overseas, and I was thinking about purchasing a house down in Georgia. And this guy was telling me how he was doing things. He said he didn't use local contractors. He used contractors from the neighboring city, which was Jacksonville, Florida, who was much cheaper, and that they would come in, and because he was buying and selling homes, and they was giving him almost $100,000 less than what the local contractors. So you can do that. You can negotiate with contractors and have those that are willing to travel. If they want that money, they're going to come and they'll build a home for you and maybe save you a lot of money. Okay, so that's my views on purchasing homes and renting. I do both. I see value in both of them. If you're trying to get equity in your, out of your home, you're trying to do a refinance, just like this couple in Maryland. It's just best for you to, just get, second and third opinions, and you have to pay for them. They don't come free. They come out and appraise your home, and just do your reviews on these, on these people. And it's sad that there's a possibility that you have to whitewash your home just to get the true value of your home. That's sad that we have to do that, but you just may have to do just that, unfortunately, here in America. All right. But, I hope that couple gets their money. They get all that they can out of this suit, because that's just unfair to them. All right. So those are my thoughts. Please, comment in the box. Tell me your thoughts. Share your opinions. If there's information that you want to share for us to learn, for me and to teach me some stuff, I'm always open to learning. Because we're never too old to learn. So, but I look forward to hearing back from you. And please share with others, and let's just get more people involved and talk about things like this, and so we can not only help ourselves as individuals, but we can help ourselves as a race of people, and all people, but especially us, because usually these things are happening to those of us that are of color. Until the next time, all right, I look forward to sharing with you some more and having straight talk with you. But until then, take care of yourself, be safe, God bless you, and we'll talk another time on Straight Talk.